Hi everyone, it's Alyssa and this is Always Cinema Chic. So today I'm going to go over my top 5 favorite horror movies that are streaming on Netflix right now, and then I'm going to go over the Blu-ray releases for October 17th, 2017. Just a note that this week I'm really only focusing on movies that you can get on Netflix, but next week I'm going to have my top 10 favorite horror movies of all time. So coming in at number 5 is Ravenous, and that stars Guy Pearce and Robert Carlyle. I wouldn't necessarily put this into the horror genre, but Netflix does, so I'm gonna do it too. This is a very, small film. Not many people know about it. It takes place during the Mexican-American War, and Guy Pearce plays a soldier who is in charge of an outpost, and one day Robert Carlyle, this stranger, comes in and he starts talking about all of these men that are stuck in a cave, and it turns out that they are all cannibals, and so the whole film is about these cannibals and how much man becomes animal. And it's a fun movie. It's really bloody, it's really suspenseful, and it's a period piece, so it's a little bit different for a horror movie. Coming in at number 4 is Hush, and that stars Kate Siegel and John Gallagher, and is directed by Mike Flanagan. This is a very traditional horror movie, but it's fun and I really loved it, and it doesn't rely on a bunch of cheap jump scares, which I hate in horror movies. It is genuinely suspenseful, and it's about a woman who's an author, but she happens to be deaf, and she's writing her novel in a cabin in the woods, of course, where else would she be, and then this killer in a mask comes and just wants to kill her. And it's very suspenseful, and it plays around with the fact that she can't hear and how she's able to survive all these horrible situations. And the director, Mike Flanagan, has done Ouija. He just did Gerald's Game, which just came out on Netflix, and it looks really interesting. I'm going to end up watching that too. But he's just excellent at suspense and building that suspense, and he doesn't always go for that cheap scare, like I said, which works so well in this film. And plus the actors are really great, and you care about these characters. Coming in at number 3 is The Invitation, and this movie, oh my god, it blew me away when I saw it because I had no idea what it was about. It just came up on my Netflix list for recommendations, and it got really good reviews, so I just put it on one night. I had no idea what it was. I didn't even know that it was a horror film, and so you put it on, and it looks like this kind of awkward dinner party where the hosts are almost trying to sell this weird LA cult to their guests, and it's awkward, but it's not scary. But once you hit a little bit past the halfway mark, it turns into something totally different, and it's so suspenseful, and it's a little bit gory, but if anything, the ending just sealed the deal for me. I was mesmerized, my jaw was on the ground. It's such an awesome ending. Coming in at number 2 is It Follows, and this stars Maika Monroe. It is a very stylized kind of 80s horror movie, even though it was just made in 2014. The soundtrack is awesome. The colors are really vibrant and they really pop, and it's a film that has taken into account the aesthetics, and I love that about it. So Maika Monroe's character basically gets infested by a demon because she's had sex with this guy who kind of passes the demon to her, and she's kind of looking to see who she can pass the demon to. But what it is, it's basically, you don't quite understand what it is, but it goes into different human bodies, and so anyone could be the it that's following you, and it's super creepy. There's like an old lady who just starts following her around, and everyone walks really slowly, and to me it's the stuff that nightmares are made of. I've actually had nightmares where people just like walked really slowly, but I knew they were going to kill me. But what takes this a step above is that it really is a metaphor for growing up, and it's a coming of age story, and you don't think that it will be right off the bat, but there is a lot more that it's saying about what it's like to be a teenager, and I love that about this film. All right, number one, this wasn't even a decision for me. I love this movie. It's called The Babadook, and it stars Essie Davis. It's an Australian film, independent, and it definitely focuses on psychological horror. So Essie Davis is a widowed mother. She has to take care of her son. Her son's not like the most well behaved, and one night she reads him this story called The Babadook, and all of a sudden this demon monster, the Babadook, comes and starts haunting the house, and it's like, does he take over the boy? Does he take over the mom? And it's all a metaphor for what the family is going through and what they've lost in their life. And it's scary. It's a genuinely scary movie. I don't think, you know, all the movies on this list, they're thrilling, suspenseful, but they don't really scare me. But The Babadook had some really scary images, and I will never forget them. The monster is really scary looking. So that's it for the top 5. So coming in at number 5 is Ravenous, number 4 is Hush, number 3 is The Invitation, number 2 is It Follows, and number 1 is The Babadook. So moving on to the Blu-ray releases for October 17th. The first one, the big one coming out, is SpiderMan Homecoming, which stars Tom Holland and Robert Downey Jr., Michael Keaton. I'm really looking forward to this movie. Everyone that I know who saw it, they loved it. They said it felt like an independent film, that it felt like a John Hughes movie, which I find very intriguing for a superhero movie. So I'm definitely going to be reviewing this, and I'm excited to see it. The next big release is called Lady Macbeth. Maybe not so big, maybe not everyone knows about it, but it takes place during the 19th century. It's a period piece, but it's also very suspenseful. It's about a woman who is basically forced into a marriage, but she ends up having an affair with a worker. And while that sounds like your standard kind of period piece, this one, I believe the female protagonist is a lot more evil than we might first expect, and it looked a bit diabolical and dark, and I'm super excited to see that movie. And then the last big one that's coming out is Girls Trip, and that stars Queen Latifah, Regina King, and Jada Pinkett Smith. And this is just like a feel-good girls kind of movie. I mean, I don't always watch these types of films, but it did get really great reviews for the genre. So if you feel like watching a movie that's, you know, a bunch of women who are maybe aging a little bit and have kids and they're not able to hang out as much, and it's sort of a fun weekend vacation that they have, well, then this might be the movie for you. So that wraps it up for this week. I would love to hear in the comments what your favorite horror movies are, especially on Netflix. I'm always looking for a really good horror movie on Netflix. And please like and subscribe the video. I almost forgot what I was going to say in there. And remember, it's always in fashion to stay in, get dressed up, and make it a cinema chic night. Bye, everyone.